Everyone, myself Rakhi Punia, a student of Integrated MSc Physics third year. Today I want to present on the topic my 8085 microprocessor architecture and memory interfacing. The heart of any computer system is its central processing unit. Microprocessor is the CPU of microcomputer which have wide applications. The Intel 8085A is an 8-bit general purpose microprocessor capable of addressing 64K of memory. By calling it 8-bit, we mean that the arithmetic logic unit of the processor can process and operate on 8-bit data at a time. To handle bigger data, it could be programmed accordingly. By saying 64K memory, we mean it could be interfaced with external memory up to 64K or such that 2002 to the power 16 bytes.
Power off.
The Intel 8085A chip has 40 pins, which can be grouped into 6 types depending on their purpose. First is the address bus. Since it can address 2 to the power 16 bits of memory, there are 16 address lines, as 16 bits are required for 2 to the power 16 registers, each being an 8-bit register. Then comes the data bus, which needs 8 pins as 8-bit data is processed at a time. The 8085 microprocessor gives out various signals, various control signals like read, write, ALE, and status signals like S0, S1, which indicate the machine cycle the processor is in at any point of time. There are some input signals like ready, hold, etc., which the input-output devices give to properly perform various read and write operations. In addition, there are pins for power supply and frequency signals, serial input to output ports for serial data communication. This is the pin diagram of 8085 microprocessor. At the time of manufacture of this chip, due to the limitation in the size, the data bus and lower address buses are multiplexed, or say time multiplexed. By time multiplexed, we mean that for same period of time, the 8-bit indicate the lower address buses, lower address byte, and for some other period they carry the data, that is act as data bus. We will talk about how this is done later in the slides. Here we can see that pin 1 and pin 2, there is a crystal connected, which basically generates the clock for the processor. This clock is very much necessary to ensure that all actions are performed in a synchronized way. The interval clock frequency is half the frequency of the crystal. As we can say, pin 4 and 5 are for serial input-output ports. Few of the externally initiated signals include interrupts like trap, RST 7.5, RST 6.5, RST 5.5, etc., and other signals like ready, hold, reset, in, reset, int a is given by processor to indicate that is acknowledged the interrupt, and similarly HLDA to indicate that it received hold signal. So they are for external signal acknowledgement. There are 8 pins for higher order address buses and 8 for time multiplexed address data bus. Reset out and reset and clock out are out of phase with reset in and internal clock respectively, used to synchronize other devices. This figure shows the 8085 bus structure. There are 3 buses basically: the address bus, which is unidirectional, the data bus, which is bidirectional, and bidirectional control bus. In the bus architecture, only one device should put data on a bus at a time, and only one device should read the data from a bus at a time. The device which is putting data should know that the other device is ready to read the data. Suppose we want to interface a memory chip to the processor. It should receive address for the selection purpose. We can both write and read from it. So it is connected to data bus in bidirectional way. It can only receive signals like read, write, etc. So connected to control bus in a unidirectional way. Similarly, input device can only write and output device can only read. So they are connected. So they are connected to data bus in one way, either in or out. These devices can also give signals like ready interrupts to the processor, so connected to control bus in bidirectional way, which is not shown here. Connections of address bus remains same. Now we will look how microprocessor communicate with memory. In the memory we write the program or any instruction. Communication involves following steps. Like first one is the instruction in form of binary code is fetched. Instruction could be of 1 byte, 2 or 3 byte. The first byte is called opcode, which explains the instruction does what the instruction does. Remaining bytes, if present, give additional information required to perform the action. If it is of 1 byte, instruction is fetched in one machine cycle, which is called opcode fetch machine cycle. Else other bytes are fetched using memory read machine cycles. Once the opcode is fetched, it is decoded to know what exactly it means. This entire process is done with various control and timing signals, and after that data transfer takes place. For example, consider the instruction move A to C. It is a single byte instruction with the opcode 4F. It is basically copies data present in accumulator and moves it to register C. Suppose the instruction code is written in location 2005 by us in the external memory chip which is interfaced with microprocessor. In first process, processor puts the address 2005 on the address bus and selects the register in 2005 location. In second step, processor gives out memory read signal to the memory chip. This enables the output buffer of that register. In third step, the data is the register opcode, which is opcode is written on the data bus by the register. Then the data is read from the data bus by processor. This is how memory read operation takes. Now, once the instruction is fetched, it is decoded inside the instruction decoder, which is present inside the processor. This diagram even shows the internal units of the processor. It contains an ALU, which performs various arithmetic and logical operations. The timing and control unit constitutes the control logic, gives out timing and control signals. Instruction decoder decodes the instruction. There is then registral unit, which has internal registers B, C, D, E, H, L and a stack pointer and program counter, which could be accessed by the user. The stack pointer and program counter are 16-bit to register. The program counter keeps the track of what processor is doing. It put the address on address bus. It always points to the location from which data is being fetched or this is timing diagram for what happened above. T1, T2, T3 are each are of 1 clock period. In T1, the program counter puts address on address bus. In T1 itself, ALE, which is address latch enable signal, is given. With this signal, address lower byte, which is on time multiplexed address data bus is latched by an external latch circuit. This is what is called demultiplexing address bus. Then there is IOM bar signal, which will be high if the address corresponds to input output devices, and low if it is corresponds to memory. Since we intend to read from the memory, it is low throughout the cycle. In T1, read bar is high as data is not yet present. In T2 cycle, the read bar signal goes low. This enables the output buffer of the register with the address bus in T1, and the register data is put on data bus. So the address bus now carries the data in 2005 location, or say opcode. ALE and input output memory bar signals remains low throughout the cycle. In middle of T3, read bar signal goes high and remains high until data goes to instruction decoder register. During T4 cycle, the opcode is as we already talked about, the lower address bus and data bus are time multiplex. It is important to demultiplex them in order to separate them for read and write operations separately. Now the question is, what is need for demultiplexing? If demultiplexing is not done, lower order address is lost after T1 cycle. Since we need it to identify the register or memory address, that's why demultiplexing is necessary. Basically, demultiplexing is done by using the chip 74LS373. This chip basically latches or store the data. ALE signal enables the latch, so we can demultiplex both. To demultiplex the bus and to generate the necessary control signals, the 8085 microprocessor requires a latch and logic gates to build the MPU. Since input output to memory bar signal is equals to 1 for input output devices and is equals to 0 for memory, it can be combined with the read and write signals in this fashion to get memory read or memory write signals and input output read and write signals. This MPU can be interfaced with any memory and input output. Now we can move further towards our discussion of memory interfacing. While executing a program, the microprocessor needs to access memory frequently to read instruction codes and data stored in memory. The interfacing circuit enables that access. We have two examples of memory chips. One is read-write to memory and another one is EEPROM, which is erasable, programmable, read-only memory. Looking at the chips, each chip has internal decoder which decode address to select a particular register in the chip. An input buffer which is enabled using write signal to write something in chip. An output buffer which is enabled using read signal to get a fetch data from the chip. All these work only when the chip is selected. That's why there is chip selection signal present. In our ROM, we don't need read and input buffer signals. They both are not required. While communicating with the memory, microprocessor should be able to read from and write into a given register of memory clip. To perform above given operations, microprocessor should be able to select the chip, identify the register, and enable the appropriate. To understand it better, let's first relook at the timing diagrams for read and write operations. For read operations, we have already discussed. In T1, address is put and latched. In T2, memory location is selected, and after read bar signal becomes low, external memory puts data on data bus, and then it goes to instruction register. Similarly, for write operation in T2, processes puts data on data bus. When write bar signal goes low to high, In between, the data is written to memory. All these happen only when input output memory bar or say memory is enabled. So for memory interfacing, we can use the read and write signals, and for enabling chips we can use input output memory bar signal, and also the address bus for selection of chips and location. Suppose we want to interface the EEPROM chip of memory 4096 into 8. Since it has 4K or say 2 to the power 12 registers, means we need 12 address lines to this chip for internal selection of locations. Let that be A11 to A0. Now remaining 4 bits A15, A14, A13 and A12 could be used to select chip. Let's consider it to be 111 fixed. So now the chip has locations from 1111. Rest of all A0 to A11 will be 0000. Then the starting address will be F000H, and the ending address will be FFFH. We can do chip selection in two ways, either by using NAND gates or we can use 3 to 8 decoders. While using NAND gates, since our chip selection signal is active low, it is active when all inputs A12, A13, A14, A15 all inputs are 1. In decoder, here A15 is used to enable the decoder. A14, A13, A12 together select the output pin, which will be active as it is 3 to 8 decoder. When A15 is equals to 1, chip enables active high enable. A14, A13, A12 is equals to 111 gives active, 07 gives active output, or when A14, A13, A12 all are 0, O0 gives active output. Address range for this will be F00 to FFFH. This is overall interfacing circuit. We saw how chip selection signal is given. In this figure, enable is taken as active low and output is taken from O0 of the decoder. So chip selection CE pin will be active when A15, A14, A13, A12 all will be 0. That's why our address range, memory address of this chip ranges from 000 to 0FFFH. Remaining 12 address lines A11 to A0 are given directly to memory chip as input output memory or read both should be low to read the data. These two signals are combined and give the output enable of the memory chip. The output data bus of the chip is connected to data bus of processor. As we already talked about, this chip has memory locations from 000 to 0FFF, total of 4096 locations. Whenever the processor wants to read something from one of these locations, it puts the address on address buses. Suppose the address is 0111. Since A15, A14, A13, A12 are 000 for all three locations, chip is active. This is done by 3 to 8 decoder. Depending on A11 to A0, which are remaining 12 address buses, one of the 4096 locations should be chosen. To accomplish the same, there is an internal decoder inside the EEPROM chip. It decodes and selects one of the locations here. like which is which the example we have taken is 011H. In during T1 time period this takes place. During T2 time period, when read and IOM both are low, our MEMR signal becomes active, and this makes OE signal of the chip. This this OE enables the output buffer in the chip, so the register or memory locations which is selected based on address gives data through the output buffer. Since it is connected to data bus, data transfer takes place. This is how memory interfacing is done. Thank you.